Second, sweet indulgence that destroys the heart. Sweets are something we've been drawn to almost since childhood. Delicious candies, chocolate bars, buns, cakes, the list goes on endlessly. It seems like there's nothing wrong with these little joys of life, because everyone around says that sometimes you can allow yourself a little something sweet. But think about this. Why are sweets so addictive? And can we really control how many sweets we eat in a day? The fact is that sugar is almost as addictive as some drugs. Once it enters the bloodstream, it sharply increases glucose levels, and the brain begins to produce the happiness hormone dopamine. This is like a short-term burst of joy that makes us feel pleasant and calm. But then comes the reverse effect. Sugar levels drop sharply, we feel tired, apathetic, irritable, and again we reach for a new portion of sweets. This starts a vicious cycle that is very difficult to break out of. But how is this related to the heart? It's very simple. Constant spikes in glucose levels severely overload the body. Over time, cells become less sensitive to insulin. This condition is called insulin resistance. As a result, the body is forced to produce more and more insulin to process the amount of sugar we consume. This burden on the body sooner or later leads to the development of type 2 diabetes. And diabetes is one of the main risk factors for cardiovascular diseases. Another important factor is obesity, which often accompanies a love of sweets. You will hardly be surprised to learn that excess sugar turns into fat, which is deposited in the most problematic areas of the body. But the most dangerous thing is not the fat we see externally. Much worse is the fat that accumulates around internal organs, including the heart. This fat, called visceral fat, causes inflammation, impairs the function of blood vessels, and significantly increases the risk of heart attacks. In addition, a constant excess of sugar in the diet leads to an increase in the level of triglycerides in the blood, special fat particles that clog blood vessels and interfere with normal blood circulation. When blood vessels narrow due to the accumulation of such particles, the heart is forced to work much harder than usual. Imagine you constantly have to go through a narrow corridor full of obstacles. The same goes for the heart. It is forced to constantly make extra efforts to pump blood through narrow, clogged vessels. This leads to premature wear and tear of the heart muscle and an increased risk of heart attacks. You might think, but it's impossible to give up sweets. Will I never be able to eat my favorite cake again? Of course, you don't have to completely give up sweets. The main thing is to learn how to approach its selection and quantity wisely. There are many ways to enjoy desserts without harming your heart. For example, replace industrial baked goods and candies with homemade desserts made from natural products and with a reduced sugar content. Instead of refined white sugar, use natural sweeteners such as honey, Jerusalem artichoke syrup, dates, or stevia. These products do not cause sharp spikes in blood sugar and are much gentler on your body. It is also very useful to learn to appreciate the natural sweetness of fruits and berries. They contain fiber, which slows down the absorption of sugars. Thanks to this, your body does not experience sharp spikes in glucose levels. Fruits are also rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that strengthen your heart and make your body more resistant to various diseases. Small changes in your approach to sweets can significantly reduce the burden on your heart and make your diet not only tasty, but also healthy. Make a choice in favor of your health today, and your heart will definitely thank you for it in the future. Third, the unnoticed carbonated threat. Be honest, how many times in the last month have you quenched your thirst with sweet soda? You might even think it's a completely harmless habit. Opened a bottle, drank a cold drink, and got a boost of energy and vigor. Advertising assures us that it's so simple and fun that we've stopped thinking about whether it's really safe. And now, get ready to learn the whole truth about what happens in your body after just one glass of such a drink. Carbonated drinks contain a huge amount of sugar, and its concentration often exceeds the permissible daily intake several times over. You might think, so what's so bad about one glass? The thing is that sugar in liquid form is absorbed by the body almost instantly. Just 10 minutes after you take the first sip, your blood becomes saturated with glucose, and the body has to react urgently by producing a large amount of insulin. This is literally a stressful situation for the pancreas and cardiovascular system. And now think about it. If you drink sweet soda regularly, your body is in constant tension. Imagine having to suddenly run a long distance every day without preparation. At first, you manage, but with each passing day, your strength runs out faster. The same thing happens to the body. Each new glass of sweet drink weakens the cell's ability to properly perceive insulin. Gradually, this leads to the development of type 2 diabetes, one of the main causes of cardiovascular diseases. But that's not all. Soda, especially that labeled as diet or sugar-free, contains many artificial sweeteners and chemical additives. At first glance, they seem harmless because such drinks really do have fewer calories. But researchers have already proven that artificial sweeteners are capable of causing metabolic problems and even increasing appetite. Thus, thinking you are saving calories, you are actually just deceiving your body, provoking cravings for unhealthy food. There is another hidden danger: the high acid content in soda. The acidity of carbonated drinks is so high that the body is forced to use minerals, including calcium, from your own bones to neutralize it. Over time, this leads to weakening of bone tissue and even heart problems, since a lack of calcium directly affects the proper functioning of the heart muscle and blood vessels. But let's be realistic. Giving up all sweet drinks at once is really difficult. Fortunately, you don't have to do that, because there are always healthy alternatives. For example, instead of store-bought soda, try drinking clean water with natural additives such as lemon, mint, or berries. You might be surprised, but water with additives can be just as tasty and refreshing. At the same time, your body will receive the necessary hydration and additional vitamins. In addition, pay attention to green tea, herbal infusions, and natural juices without added sugar. They not only perfectly quench thirst but also strengthen the heart, thanks to antioxidants and beneficial trace elements. Your body will get real pleasure from this approach, and the heart will finally breathe a sigh of relief. Giving up soda is one of those simple steps that can really radically change your health for the better. In just a few weeks, you will notice how much lighter and more energetic you feel, how your mood has changed, and perhaps even your figure. Take this step towards your heart right now, and it will thank you with many, many years of gratitude. Fourth, the hidden harm of oil that manufacturers keep silent about. Usually we don't think about what's hidden behind the bright packaging of our favorite pastries, store-bought cookies, or an appetizing cream cake. We enjoy the taste, unaware that this taste is created with the help of special fats that can be deadly dangerous for our heart. We are talking about hydrogenated vegetable oils, which are also called trans fats. These oils are produced through a special chemical process called hydrogenation. Manufacturers love them because they are cheap, have a long shelf life, and give baked goods and sweets an attractive appearance and a special taste. However, behind all this lies a real trap for your heart, because hydrogenation turns healthy vegetable oils into dangerous trans fats that can cause irreparable harm to the cardiovascular system. You will be surprised, but the body perceives trans fats almost as foreign substances. Instead of effectively absorbing and using them for vital functions, our body literally doesn't know what to do with them. As a result, trans fats are deposited on the walls of blood vessels, creating dense and rigid plaques that gradually narrow the lumen of the vessels and make them less elastic. Imagine water pipes inside which foreign particles constantly settle. Over time, the pipes become clogged, and water can no longer flow freely through them. What do plumbers do in such a case? Of course, they clean the pipes. But with blood vessels, this process is much more complicated. Cleaning them can be incredibly difficult. And as a result, the heart is forced to make much more effort to pump blood through the narrowed vessels. But the harm of trans fats is not limited to just mechanical clogging of blood vessels. These fats can cause chronic inflammation in the body, which over time provokes the development of serious cardiovascular diseases, such as atherosclerosis, hypertension, and even heart failure. If you imagine blood vessels as roads, then inflammation is like constant roadwork that hinders the free movement of traffic and creates emergency situations. Another insidious point is that manufacturers do not always honestly indicate the amount of trans fats on product packaging. They may hide the information in small print or not mention their content at all, hoping that buyers simply won't pay attention to it. That is why it is so important to carefully read labels and avoid products that contain hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oil. How can you protect yourself and your heart from this hidden threat? The simplest solution is to start avoiding products containing trans fats and switch to natural vegetable oils such as olive, flaxseed, coconut, or avocado oil. These oils are rich in beneficial fatty acids that, on the contrary, strengthen blood vessels and make them more elastic. Another effective step is to bake pastries and desserts at home. Yes, this requires a little more time and effort, but believe me, your health is worth it. Homemade baked goods without trans fats are not only tastier, but also healthier. You will be able to control all the ingredients, avoiding unnecessary additives and chemicals. Remember that caring for your heart starts with small things. It is small but regular changes in diet that can completely transform your health. You just need to give up the hidden dangers that we don't notice, and your heart will start working better, longer, and more reliably. And the next time you choose a product in the store, ask yourself if it's really worth risking your heart. Make the right choice, and your heart will definitely thank you very much. Fifth, deadly delicious meat that you should give up today. Every time you make a sandwich with fragrant sausage, ham, or appetizing hot dogs, you probably don't think about the fact that this seemingly harmless breakfast or snack can be a serious threat to your heart. Unfortunately, the reality is that it is meat products, which we are used to considering safe and tasty, that harbor dangers about which it is time to learn the truth. Let's start with a simple fact. Meat delicacies such as sausage, hot dogs, ham, and bacon belong to the category of processed meat. This means that during the cooking process, salts, spices, preservatives, and many other chemicals are added to them to extend their shelf life and give them an appetizing taste and appearance. As a result, we get products that have gone far from natural meat, turning into a mixture of artificial additives, salts, and fats that are dangerous for our heart. One of the main problems with processed meat is its high salt content. You might be surprised, but one hot dog or a slice of sausage can contain up to half the daily allowance of salt. Salt, as you already know, causes fluid retention in the body, thereby increasing blood volume and forcing the heart to work with increased stress. Constant consumption of salty foods leads to a chronic increase in blood pressure, which over time can develop into hypertension, one of the main risk factors for strokes and heart attacks. Another alarming fact is that processed meat contains a large amount of saturated fats. These fats, unlike healthy unsaturated fats, contribute to the accumulation of cholesterol on the walls of arteries. The arteries gradually become clogged, and it becomes increasingly difficult for blood to reach the heart and other vital organs. Imagine narrow roads filled with cars where traffic has almost completely stopped. This is exactly the situation in which the blood vessels of a person who regularly consumes processed meat find themselves. In addition, processed meat contains special chemical substances, nitrates and nitrites, which give sausage its bright pink color and attractive taste. When these substances enter the body, they can turn into dangerous carcinogenic compounds. But carcinogenicity is not their only danger. They also damage the inner surface of blood vessels, provoking inflammation and accelerating the formation of cholesterol plaques. And inflammation, as you know, is a hidden and powerful enemy of our heart. Studies show alarming figures. Regular consumption of even a small amount of processed meat increases the risk of cardiovascular diseases by almost twofold. Just think, your usual breakfast can almost double your risk of developing a heart attack or stroke in the future. Is it really worth it? But don't rush to get upset. Giving up meat delicacies is much easier than it seems at first glance. Just replace processed meat with natural sources of protein, such as baked poultry, turkey, fish, or seafood. They not only do not harm the heart, but on the contrary, strengthen it thanks to the high content of beneficial trace elements such as omega-3 fatty acids. Another great alternative is plant-based sources of protein, such as beans, lentils, or chickpeas. Such products are rich in fiber, which additionally protects blood vessels from the formation of cholesterol plaques and helps to normalize blood pressure. Including them in your diet at least a few times a week, you will notice how your well-being improves, your energy increases, and the load on your heart decreases. Believe me, giving up processed meat is not a sacrifice, but a real gift for your heart. After all, a healthy heart is the key to your longevity, energy, and the ability to enjoy life to the fullest. Take this important step today and feel how much your well-being will change for the better. Your heart will definitely thank you with long and happy years of life. Today you learned which familiar and seemingly harmless products can seriously harm your heart. Perhaps some points surprised or even upset you, but this information is precisely where your opportunity to change your life for the better lies. After all, when it comes to the heart, there is nothing more important than timely action. The most important thing I wanted to convey to you is that protecting your heart starts with simple daily decisions. No one requires you to immediately radically change all your habits. It is enough to gradually replace harmful products with more beneficial ones, pay close attention to your diet, and simply be a little more conscious in your food preferences. And believe me, the result will not be long in coming. Think about how many wonderful moments are still waiting for you ahead. How much joy and pleasure a healthy, strong heart can give you. Taking care of it today means giving yourself a happy and active tomorrow. And is there anything more important than your full and long life? If this video made you think, support it with a like and subscribe to my channel. I still have a lot of interesting and useful things that will help you become a healthier and happier person. Take care of your heart, and it will certainly reciprocate, providing you with energy and joy for many years to come.